Even for me, not just in this class, for other classes also. So my 10th is not turning up, my 11th is not turning up. You people have not been turning up in the numbers that you initially did. So I'm just trying to understand what exactly has led to this sudden change in all the three grades. Maybe a student perspective can help me understand.
Yes, ma'am, the course is like almost completed in most of the subjects. So,
And it is not being followed up by revision or something.
ma'am, there is revision, but we generally, the students don't attend.
All right, so give me an idea also. Tomorrow I'll be finishing with this lesson, which would imply that tomorrow we're also through with our syllabus. So how do I proceed after that? What would you want me to do after that? Just regular tests, or would you want me to pick up separate topics and talk about them? And maybe followed by a test.
Ma'am, I think revision would be better. Like tests at this stage uh, will be binding कि अगर कल टेस्ट है तो ये पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा sort of.
Do you think it will be helpful if I give you a schedule well in advance? जैसे अगर 24 है, 25 तक if I finish, and maybe 26 onwards I give you a schedule. Maybe say 2 days we revise a topic, and next day we have a test. Then maybe next 2 days we revise a topic and we have a test. But informed you well in advance. Do you think that will help? Would you want to be a part of that?
This sounds nice. We can start it in December, like first December.
Anyone who disagrees? Anyone who has an alteration to offer?
And we can start right after we are done with the course sessions.
All right. Just in case anything else comes to your mind, please let me know. I would want to incorporate. All right, for last question, and then we move to what I have on my mind. What part should I focus on? Should we start our revision with Indian Eco and tests of Indian Eco, or macro first and then Indian Eco, or do we switch time and again?
Ma'am, time and again switch.
All right, ठीक है. Fine, I'll give you a schedule either today or by tomorrow, so that so that you're also informed and I am also aware what exactly am I supposed to prepare. Chalo. And yesterday when we were talking about the lesson, the last thing that we were talking about were the demographic indicators. Demographic indicators क्या होते हैं? Indicators that are talking about the population of the country. All right. I can either give you a table and I can ask you to interpret, or I can ask you an overall trend for different countries for a particular indicator. This is how you're supposed to prepare for such topics. Another thing, if I give you a table and I ask you to interpret, for instance, अगर मैं आपको countries दे देती हूँ और मैं आपको density का column दे देती हूँ, I just don't want you people to tell me that India has the maximum population density, followed by Pakistan, followed by China. I would want you people to give me some explanation or some probable reasoning behind this. So for instance, हम China के लिए offer कर सकते हैं, one, they have, and though their absolute population is high, they have large area of land with themselves apparently, because of which the population density comes out to be low. Then maybe we can also talk about how exactly have they been able to control their population, and we talk about one child policy. My only request is, do not state the obvious facts that are there in the table, given some inputs from your end also. ऐसे टेबल बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस बहुत आते हैं and people just end up writing the tabular facts in a paragraph. That's not the only thing I'm looking for.
Excuse me, ma'am.
हाँ जी.
Ma'am, I had a point to add. They can just scroll back to that table for a second. Yeah, so we observed that urbanization is quite high in China. So I was just observing the China's terrain, and I found out like not much part of China's land is fit for agriculture. It's basically plateaus and wasteland and very cold region. And there are few regions which are okay for the cultivation, but maximum portions are not.
Are you adding something to this? You wanted to share this only?
Yeah, ma'am, I only wanted to share this.
All right.
The urbanization is high because the cultivation area is low, so rural areas are pretty low.
All right. Okay. Fine. Proceeding further. One that we've spoken about demographic indicators. Next, let's talk about the GDP and the sectors for different countries. Intuitively सोच के बता दो in एब्सोल्यूट टर्म्स कौन सी कंट्री का जीडीपी हमें आउट ऑफ द 3 हाईएस्ट लगता है और कौन सी का लोएस्ट लगता है?
चाइना का हाईएस्ट, पाकिस्तान का लोएस्ट.
All right, if you look at recent data also, this data is not really recent. However, the trends remain the same. China has the highest GDP out of the 3 countries, standing at 22.5 trillion according to PPP. ये PPP मॉडल भी एक चीज होती है. दिस इज बेसिकली परचेजिंग पावर पैरिटी. इन वेरी सिंपल वर्ड्स, अगर आप PPP मॉडल फॉलो करते हो, इट मीन्स कि जो $1 अमेरिका में है और अमेरिका में जितनी इसकी परचेजिंग कैपेसिटी है, उस $1 की इंडिया में भी सेम परचेजिंग कैपेसिटी है. तो आप करेंसी की फ्लक्चुएशंस को एडजस्ट करके ये PPP निकालते हो. Why are we looking at a PPP model? So that everything becomes comparable. So $22.5 trillion in China have the equal value of $22.5 trillion in America or in India or in any other country. तो purchasing power change नहीं हुई है. Purchasing power कब change हो जाती है? Had it been say 22.5 trillion rupees और यूएस कहता 22.5 ट्रिलियन डॉलर्स, तब आपकी परचेजिंग पावर चेंज हो जाती है. So if you want to compare GDP, it would be better if you compare through the PPP model, ताकि purchasing power of one unit of currency remains the same. अगर नहीं समझ आए, not an issue. I was just trying to talk about ये PPP लिखा क्या है. Stands for Purchasing Power Parity. All right. This is followed by India, where we stand at 9.03 trillion. The recent data shows an increase. However, we're okay with this as well. And Pakistan's GDP a little shy of $1 trillion. Observe this table 10.2, and probably maybe Tanish or Yatharth can help me understand what is there in this table.
Excuse me, China have the highest GDP growth in 90s, 80, and India has the lowest. But in 2017 to 15 to 17, India has the highest.
Taken. Yatharth, do you want to add anything to this?
Ma'am,
Hanji, please, Ishika.
Ma'am, as you can see, India has improved much from 1980 to 2015 and 17, whereas Pakistan's GDP has lowered down.
GDP has lowered down.
Annual growth, sorry, ma'am.
The growth of GDP has lowered down. Taken. Anyone else who would want to add anything?
Yeah, ma'am, sure. So, in the later column of 2015 to 2017, we observed that China's annual growth of GDP is less than India's annual growth of GDP. What I could make out from this was that China's already existing GDP is so high in absolute terms that even though in absolute terms China's GDP has increased much more than India's GDP, then also in if we observe in percentages, then India's percentage of GDP has increased more than China.
Taken. Any other input? All right, when we're comparing annual growth rate, one thing आप initial level of development पे चाहोगे कि हमारा growth rate high हो because you have a lot of potential of rectifying the wrongs or you have a lot of resources to exploit and explore and contribute towards all the three sectors. Beyond a point, if you've crossed say the tipping point of your economic growth rate is bound to fall. Why? Because you have reached a certain level अब इतना scope नहीं रहा है of growth rate. Generally, for our country or for developing countries, we wish for a higher growth rate because we want to exploit the resources that are available to us. But in developing countries, the comparison. Restricting ourselves to the superficial comparison, the order has now changed a bit. India's growth rate is higher than China. Then, all right, the order is India, China, and बढ़ रहा है. However, if I simply want to celebrate that India is growing faster than China, it is purely in terms of relative terms. Absolute terms, mein, that remains a question. Pakistan has seen a decline over time, if you observe. Earlier, you were growing at 6.3%. Now you're growing at 5.3%. Given the scope that the countries, India and Pakistan, still have, the growth rate could have been better, or at least we need it to be better, given the population that we're supposed to support. All right, the text here is largely about that. Table 10.3.
Ma'am,
Hanji.
what could be the reason for Pakistan's decline in growth rate?
Beta, Pakistan has had a lot of political instability in their own country. So you're looking at military forces, then you're looking at overthrowing of those military forces, then you're looking at trying to mental stability and failing to do so. If you remember, initially we were talking about how political scenario affects the country's growth or affects the country's economic environment. Pakistan has had a highly unstable environment when it comes to their political regime. Shows a lot in numbers also.
Ma'am, if I'm not wrong, then these numbers portray that is being experiencing some kind of stagnation in their GDP.
Stagnation in GDP.
Because, ma'am, it is decreasing, and as we know that uh, GDP is only the growth rate of GDP only decrease when the absolute base, the new number of GDP is not very much higher than the absolute base of the last year.
All right, so you're talking in absolute figures. All right,
Yeah.
can be said so. Shashank, did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
If you're interested, you can always read about the previous prime minister. You can read about his corruption activities and how he was overthrown. And all of these things were not smooth, happens over a decade. And and these politicians over a period of time also hamper the economic growth of the country for their personal benefits. And if you do not have a strong opposition, if you do not have a strong media, if you do not have a strong judiciary, a strong check on the government, then the people are the ones who really losing out. Something that happened in Pakistan time and again.
Ma'am, I joined a bit late. Can you also tell why India's GDP was 5.7 in 1980s, 90s and Pakistan 6.3?
Alright, we were just talking about how initially the countries have a lot of scope of increasing their growth. However, the countries have not really been able to do so since they were quite young and newly independent nations. For India, abhi yahan pe they've written 5.7. If you ever Google Hindu growth rate hota hai something which is less than 2%. India was It was called Hindu growth rate because India was experiencing 2% ka growth rate in the 1980s and in the late part of 1970s. 5.7 ही अगर report कर रहे हैं, looks like a positive image because you've taken it for the entire decade. When we talk about the reform period that was brought in for our country in 1991, one, we had a huge crisis, as we know about that. Next, अब पहले भी crisis से पहले भी आपका हिंदू growth rate ही चल रहा था. So you were hoping that the reform period would contribute to an increase in the growth rate. Unfortunately, they've not given us data for say 1991 से 2000 का या 2000 से 2010 का. So they've not given us data for 25 years. They've straight away brought us to 2015 to 17. We've missed too many important periods here. We've missed our reform period. We've missed our 1999 ka reform period. We've missed our 2008 ka recession, we've missed 2012 ka recession, but we're simply looking at 2015 gives you a superficial idea that India's growth rate has improved over a period of time, ignoring the dips that our country has seen. Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Please observe table 10.3. Aryan, Sarthak, Pranika, Ananya to share their thoughts from table 10.3. Someone to start off by telling me what exactly is the table about, and then we get into individual sectors. Are in which country?
Ma'am, India and Pakistan as well.
All right, so if I say here, 43% of India's population is engaged in agriculture, and they're giving you 16% का output. China में अगर हम देखते हैं 26% of the population is engaged in agriculture, giving 7% का output. Pakistan में 41% of the population engaged in agriculture, giving 24% का output. If I follow what Aryan has said, you have the maximum labor force of India in agriculture, maximum labor force of Pakistan in agriculture. However, that is not the case for China. Maximum labor force of China is not in agriculture. Is that a good sign or a bad sign?
Ma'am, depending on the demographics, it is a good sign for China because China has developed industries. If we observe, Pakistan has virtually not much relation to industries. The GVA they are getting is very low. The workforce they have engaged is in terms with India, but it's still very low because of the GVA. However, for China, China has good industries. The contribution to GVA is like 41%, which is really high in comparison to India and Pakistan.
Thank you. Shivam has effectively interpreted the industry column for us. If you look at the distribution of workforce in industry, China has, out of the three countries, majority proportion from China goes for industry, followed by India and then Pakistan. Output में बहुत फर्क है. All the three countries are contributing in 28, 25. However, the output shows a stark difference. Sarthak, I'll come to that. I think that is for services. I'll come to that. China में आप देख रहे हो 41% of output coming in from the industrial sector. India का आप 30% देख रहे हो. Pakistan, we're just looking at 19%. Again, gives a hint of not exactly as sound an industrial base as we would want it to be in a time period as recent as 1819. Looking at services, proportion of workforce in service sector is more in Pakistan than India. Still, contribution to GDP remains higher in India.
Ma'am, if we look at the contribution to GVA in India, China, and Pakistan, all of the countries, services sector contribute the maximum.
Thank you. Taken. I'll use both of these. One, Sarthak highlighted that in Pakistan, you have 35% of people engaged in services as compared to India, which is 32. Still, despite higher contribution by the Pakistani workforce, the contribution towards services, Sarthak claimed to be high. Sarthak, do you want to revisit your statement? Because for Pakistan 57% का contribution है and for India 54% का contribution है. Just give it another thought. All right, looking at Ananya's claim, out of all the three countries, it is the service sector that has contributed the most in their GVA. All right, one thing that is commonly observed in any development pattern, क्या माना जाता है और डिफरेंट कंट्रीज के एक्सपीरियंसेस से क्या कंक्लूड हुआ है कि पहले इनिशियली एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर पे से आप ज़्यादा आउटपुट फेच करते हो या फिर एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर का ज़्यादा कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है इन जीवीए. Then over a period of time, countries move to industries, and then over a period of time, they move to secondary. The same can be observed for the developed countries. China also more or less has conformed to this pattern. India and Pakistan, however, have not really conformed to this pattern. We were initially highly dependent on agriculture for contribution in GDP. And then without having a sound industrial base, both the countries, India and Pakistan, with respect to their own skills that are there, they've directly moved to the service sector as an increasing contributor to GVA. Now, that is not right or that is wrong. That's just an observation.
Mama, I can actually conclude by this statement only. That if like China has had a great industrial leap too, and that is why most of their GDP was coming from industry for some period. However, in India and Pakistan, they directly converged to service sector. So my point is that unless your industries are like booming, then that means that you have achieved a certain level of infrastructure. And if they are not booming, that means your infrastructure is not up to the mark. What I think is that China's infrastructure has reached a certain level, and after that, achieving that saturation, then they are moving towards service sector. However, in India and Pakistan, we haven't really got the hold of full potential of industries, and then also we are moving towards service sector. Therefore, the infrastructure in China, India and Pakistan is not up to the mark.
Also, if I talk about any crisis that we can foresee, if you're looking at, say, a hit on the industrial sector, if you're looking at a hit on the services sector, you will have something that will back up your economy. अगर मैं चाइना की बात करती हूँ, there's no movement of people happening that you're looking at a pandemic, आपका output कम हो जाता है, तो services sector तो hit लेगा ही लेगा, but there are certain essential commodities जो industrial sector बनाएगा, and you will still steer through your country through the crisis. If I look at a country like India जो rely ज़्यादा services पे कर रहा है, और आपका सर्विस सेक्टर पे अगर डिप आ जाता है ड्यू टू वट एवर, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट पैंडेमिक इन दिस केस, आपका इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर वैसे ही इतना स्ट्रांग नहीं है, आपका सर्विस सेक्टर भी हिट ले लेता है, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर का भी आउटपुट कम है, then you are looking at heading towards a recession or a crisis. You need to have strong independent linkages. However, in isolation, your sector should also be strong. That is not the case in our country. It looks like a very unhealthy atmosphere and a very vulnerable situation for the country. Anji.
That's true, Mama. And in the initial stages of this pandemic only, we saw news from Pakistan, like how much inflation they were experiencing just because their industries were not developed and basic necessities were not being supplied to them.
All right, moving on. Table 10.4. Archie, Navya, Tanya, Bhavika, Raghav Mittal. Someone to help me understand what exactly is there in this table. Someone to tell me what is there in the table, others to interpret and share.
And it shows the growth in different sectors in the 1980s to 90 and in 2011 to 15.
Taken. So you're looking at 2 time periods for different sectors for all the 3 countries. Anyone who has any specific observation for us?
Excuse me, ma'am, can you please explain what are the units in which we are calculating this?
Beta, growth rate is always in percentages.
Noted, ma'am.
Navya, do we have anything to offer? Raghav, Mittal, do we have anything to offer? Tanya? I'm still
Ma'am,
waiting.
if we see that, ma'am, from the period between 1980 to 90, the growth rate of industries in China, ma'am, it was 10.8. Ma'am, it means that they were, ma'am, into a period of setting up the industries, ma'am, creating like, ma'am, more jobs, and there was a reform period at that time. But now we see it has drastically, ma'am, got down to 5.3, which means, ma'am, they have already set up like a good infrastructure. So now they are stable as far the industry is concerned.
All right, so a high growth rate showing an increased use of potential, a relatively lower growth rate showing that you're steadily increasing your output. Not as high as initially, but given their level, this is also not bad. Fine, if you see for industry only, India and Pakistan, both of them have also experienced a hit, moving down from 7.4 to 6.9 and 7.7 to 4.8. However, we really have not reached that level where we can afford to go that slow. So again, for India and Pakistan, industrial sector remains a major concern. Talking about agriculture, there's no improvement in agriculture for all the 3 countries. Whereas you're looking at increasing technology, increased techniques coming in, increasing population coming in, what you would have hoped for would have been an increase in the agricultural output. Rather, what we've had is something that is just the other way around. As for the services, India has experienced an improvement since service sector happens to be the driving factor of our economic growth. China and Pakistan both are looking at a deceleration. China's deceleration still looks justified again, given that you have reached a benchmark and you've crossed that level where you're now simply looking at numbers that can maintain whatever growth you have. Despite the high level of growth that they've achieved, 7.1 is also considered good. तो absolute sense में देखने में लगता है कि आपकी growth rate कम हो गई है, doesn't mean a worse of society. The same cannot be said for Pakistan. Again, a lot of scope followed by a deceleration is not really a good indicator for economic growth. All right, things that are here. यहाँ पे जो इन्होंने बातें करी है ना, इन्होंने tables को interpret किया है. What exactly can I ask? I can either give you a table and I can ask you to interpret. Interpretation has to be followed by a probable reasoning, or I can simply ask for trends. So if I'm asking for trends, I can ask कि इंडिया में वर्कफोर्स का एंगेजमेंट कैसा है और उनका relative contribution कैसा है. I'm not looking for figures per se, but I'm simply looking at an overall trend. All right, I don't think I have time. अच्छा था, 2 मिनट दो आप. Moving on, table 10.5. This is talking about indicators of human development. Or wait, there's a lot to be discussed. I'll stop it here only. I'm posting your attendance question. We meet tomorrow. And we try to finish off this lesson tomorrow. Please go and mark
Sure,
your
ma'am.
attendance.
Ma'am,
Hanji.
I've had one another point from the table we would.
Do you want me to reshare?
No.
All right.
Sorry. Sure, ma'am. Good day.
To you too.